If we held 1 minute of silence for every victim of the Holocaust, we would be silent for 11 and a half years. Schools must educate students in order to prevent discrimination against religion so something like the Holocaust does not occur again. I will discuss the varying degrees of people's kindness and cruelty towards one another, then expose how educating society about different cultural beliefs can help prevent future discrimination against different religions. Finally, I will acknowledge the opposing view that there is no problem with discrimination against people based off of their religious beliefs. In the book Thief, the characters are faced with obstacles that they manage to overcome through sticking together and developing relationships with others. The book Thief takes place in Mulching, Germany during World War II. Liesel's mother is taking Liesel and her little brother Warner to live with their foster parents. However, sadly, Warner dies. Liesel has her first car ride to Himmel Street, where her new family, the Hubermans, live. Later, a book burning is organized by the Nazis to celebrate Adolf Hitler's birthday. Liesel hears a Nazi spokesman calling for death to all communists as well as Jews. She realizes that Hitler is behind her father's disappearance, her mother's recent disappearance, and her brother's death. Hans confirms her suspicions after the book burning, and Hitler becomes Liesel's sworn enemy. During World War I, Erich Vandenberg, a Jewish man, saved Hans's life, giving up his own life in the process. Erich's son Max is on the run from the Nazis. Hans helps arrange for Max's journey to Himmel Street and agrees to hide him in his home. Liesel forms a fast friendship with Max. On October 1942, a parade of Jews comes through Mulching. Hans offers one of the Jewish prisoners a piece of bread, but is whipped along with the prisoner by the Nazi guards. Hans is now afraid the Nazis will search his house and find Max, so he sends Max away that very night. Finally, in August of 1943, Liesel sees Max marching through Mulching to the Dachau concentration camp. She learns he was captured 6 months earlier. The Nazi guards whip both Liesel and Max. Today, I will discuss the varying degrees of people's kindness and cruelty towards one another during the time of the Holocaust. In Chapter 33 of The Book Thief, Max is introduced to the story. Hans tells Liesel that Max will sleep in her room that night. The next morning, Hans informs Liesel that she won't be going to school. Hans takes her downstairs and shares the story of Erich Vandenberg and explains who Max is. Hans says she mustn't tell anyone about the visitor, and if she does, he will take all of her books away and burn them. He continues telling her that him, Rosa, and Max will be taken away and she will never see them again. Hans says, "They'll drag that man up there away, and maybe Mama and me too, and we will never, ever come back." She sobs and says she understands. She won't tell anyone. The Hubermans commit a great act of kindness in hiding and caring for Max. They keep him alive at great risk to themselves and always treat him with respect. In Chapter 58 of The Book Thief, Liesel and Rudy are playing soccer on Himmel Street when they see a parade. Liesel hears a woman call out, "Die Juden, the Jews." Liesel stands with Rudy and Hans while they watch the emaciated, sickly Jews walk down the street. Hans goes to one of the Jews who has fallen and gives the old man some bread. A Nazi soldier whips the Jew and Hans. Hans falls to the ground. Others help him to safety while some call him a Jew lover and overturn his paint cart. Hans thinks about Max in his basement and is afraid that the Nazis will come to his house and take them all away. He says, "Oh my God, Liesel, what have I done?" When Hans helps one of the Jews by giving him bread, it's a small act but shows great kindness. It lets the Jewish man know that Hans does not hate him for being Jewish, but pities him and wants to ease his suffering. However, the Nazi soldier whips Hans and the Jewish man. This act is cruel to begin with, but its cruelty is heightened by the fact that it comes in response to Hans' kindness. Although this novel took place during World War II, discriminating towards different people's religions still happens in modern society. Modern society is overflowing with people who single out others because of their religious beliefs. Muslims today receive lots of hostility towards their faith. Many Americans are suspicious of their beliefs and motives. Our President Trump even said he wanted to ban all Muslims from entering America.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
A survey was conducted where Emma Green asked a group of Muslims about the most important problems they are facing in the U.S. today. The most popular answers included discrimination, racism, and prejudice, Muslims being viewed as terrorists, and Trump's attitudes and policies towards Muslims. This survey provides evidence that people, especially the Muslim group, still deals with religious discrimination. Brandon Gailey wrote an article titled 19 Dramatic Religious Discrimination Statistics. He included in this report that in 2019 alone, discrimination has increased by 51% in some countries. 33% of the world's countries actively harass women over their style of religious dress. Muslims are discriminated in more than 121 countries. These statistics show that people still face discrimination towards them because of their religious beliefs. Modern society needs to stop prejudice towards people with different religious beliefs. Through passing laws and educating society about religion, it could fix or lessen religious discrimination within our society. The government has already put laws in place to help put a stop to religious discrimination. The government passed Title IV of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This prohibits the denial of educational opportunities because of a person's religion. The government also passed Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This prohibits discrimination against a person based on their religion in hiring, promotion, or in terms and conditions of employment. Finally, the government passed the Fair Housing Act. This prohibits discrimination in the sale or rental of housing, including refusal to sell or rent to someone based on his or her religion. These are just a few laws the government has made to help put a stop to discrimination. Educating students about different religions could make them less likely to discriminate and judge other religions. Teaching students that religion is not a threat that requires surveillance. The NUS and Muslim student groups have raised concern that Muslim students, and especially Islamic societies, feel they are being monitored and are seen as threats in their institutions. Sharing information about different religions in school can help put a stop to religious discrimination. Society needs to come together to stop religious discrimination. However, some people don't agree. Some may disagree and say there is no problem with religious discrimination in today's society. Though there has been statistics of religious discrimination reported in the past years. Between 2009 and 2010, nearly 50% of countries saw an increase in religious discrimination, and only 32% saw a decrease. In some countries in Central and Eastern Europe, roughly 1 in 5 adults or more say they would not accept Jews as a fellow citizen. Also in 2009 through 2010, countries such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Indonesia had high restrictions on religious freedoms. These are facts and statistics reported in the recent years that show religious discrimination is still happening in today's modern society. Religious discrimination is still a problem going on within our society today. In the novel The Book Thief, Marcus explores the different degrees of how kind and cruel people are towards each other during the Holocaust. Through passing laws and educating society about religion, it can prevent something like the Holocaust from happening again. Modern society still struggles to not discriminate against certain religious groups. Imagine being in the shoes of someone who has experienced hate and discrimination based on their religion. Think about how they feel.